Hi guys, welcome back to Comfy Cozy Crochet with Triss. I am Triss, and welcome back to my channel. This is podcast 12, I believe. I will put something up above if it's not, but I think I'm right about the count there. And this is just a normal podcast where we're going to be talking about works in progress, finished objects. Not a whole lot to share with you today, so hopefully this is going to be a short video. You know me, I tend to talk. We're going to try to keep that to a minimum. We're going to be concise today, efficient with our time, no jabbering as I jabber. So today I have one finished object for you. Well, technically I have a lot of little mini finished objects, and then I've got one big finished object. So the first thing is I did 11 rectangles that I made and sent to Warm Up America. This is an organization that is kind of an umbrella organization. They give to Red Cross, neonatal intensive care units, children's hospitals, women's shelters, disaster relief. They work with the Red Cross and several other different entities. So what Warm Up America does is they collect 7x9 rectangles, crocheted, I believe, or knit, and they put them together in whatever size blanket is needed for whatever charity is most in need, and they ship it off to whomever needs it the most. Really, really cool organization. And I love the fact that I can donate, but I don't have to hem and haw over what is needed, the amount of time it takes to make a huge like twin size blanket or Afghan or whatever. I can make the square or make the rectangles, excuse me, and ship them off, and they will put it into what's needed most. And I love that idea. This was brought to my attention by Tiffany Hansen over at Crochet with Tiffany Hansen. Used to be Hook for Hope, I think. But she said that she was going to do this and trying to get 5,000 rectangles sent into Hooked for Hope for their 30th anniversary. And I thought this was just the coolest thing. They've been doing this since 1991. This is obviously their 30th year. And I wanted to help her meet her goal. I have decided, though, I had so much fun making these rectangles, even though I didn't have a whole lot of time. I really enjoyed doing it. It was a perfect way to get rid of a bunch of my scraps. And I learned a couple new stitches. So Tiffany, in her video, which I will link down below, she announced her goal of 5,000. And she also gave a little mini tutorial on the seed stitch and the Trinity stitch. I learned both. I really enjoyed both. I think I enjoyed the seed stitch just a bit more. I am much too tight of a crocheter for that Trinity stitch. I think I need to go up a hook size, but needing to keep it at the 7x9 size, that wasn't as easy for me. So the seed stitch was incredibly easy though, and I also liked the fact of it's so tight, that seed stitch, that there's virtually no holes, and it was going to keep someone really, really warm. So I really liked that idea. I'm going to try to insert some pictures here, over the top of my face. I'm not sure. But I did end up taking a couple of pictures. I don't think I took as many as I wanted to, and I definitely didn't take one of the entire group, but I ended up making 11 rectangles. I keep saying squares. 11 rectangles. And I went ahead and sent those off on Monday morning at my local post office. So I'm just hoping and hoping that the post office can get them from Washington State to Texas in 8 days. So let's see. The next finished object I have for you is actually my Cocoon sweater. So this is a pattern by Moogly, or the Moogly blog, and I will link that down below for you as well. It's made with Red Heart Hygge yarn, and that is a number 5. I believe it's 100% acrylic, but it's easy enough to look up those stats. It's a really, really soft yarn. It kind of has an eyelash strand going through it as well. You can see that at all. There we go. I think you're picking up some of that there. But it's super, super squishy soft. It's kind of heavy and weighty. And so I thought this was gonna make just the most amazing garment ever. And I love the color. This is called Aloe. So it is kind of a silvery, kind of deep green. It's really, really interesting color. I thought it's enough color that it's not gonna wash me out, but it's also neutral enough that I can wear it with most things without clashing, and that was really important to me. However, I will not be wearing this out in public. I am a very, very tight crocheter, and I ended up needing, you're supposed to need 6 balls or 6 skeins of yarn to make the misses size, 8 for the plus size. I ended up needing 7 balls to finish the pattern. And I didn't do a gauge swatch, but I think I'm right about, as far as the pictures of her wearing it, it looks like it hits me about the same place, but I didn't understand that she had her arms up, so it looks like it's a lot shorter than it is in the pictures. This thing hits me mid-calf. It's enormous. And so I'm really in the process of trying to figure out if I'm going to frog it or give it to my mom, who's a little bit taller than me. I'm a short little thing. I'm not even 5'3". I get it. But I think this thing just envelops me, okay? So I am going to pause this here, and I am going to show you how it works on me. Okay, you guys, so this is how it looks on me. It's huge. Let me zoom out a little bit. Can you see this? So this is how it fits me. Hopefully you can see this. It is all the way to mid-calf in the back. Woo. And the woman was like this in the picture. So it looked a heck of a lot higher. I also did half the length of sleeve here. It's more like a cuff on my version, but it was going to be absolutely hanging off of me. I did 8 rows, and they called for, I think 14, so not quite half, a little more than half. But this thing is so snuggly soft, you guys. It's so nice, but it is absolutely just ridiculous too big. And so the question is, do I use it sort of as a house coat and just really, really enjoy snuggling up with it? Or do I frog the whole thing? There's sewing involved with this. I've already got several ends woven in, not all though, because I decided I'm not sure that I want to keep it. What do you guys think? Certainly not something I'm gonna wear out. I don't think. I think I'm too self-conscious to wear something that's just this big and oversized. I know it's supposed to be that way, by the way. It's absolutely supposed to be oversized. She says it right in the pattern. I just didn't think this oversized. Like, I'm really, really short, so I think a lot of times when I wear something that hits me mid-calf, that just makes me look even shorter. I don't need any help looking shorter, you guys. Okay, it's really toasty in here, and I'm tired of standing up. I'm gonna reposition the camera, sit back down, and show you what else I have. Just a second. Okay, you guys, so that was my first ever garment I've ever made. And on the one hand, I'm really, really encouraged because it took me 2.5 days because I don't have very much time to crochet, so probably the equivalent of about 5 hours. So for those who are either new, welcome, or those of you who have not heard me say before, I have an almost 16-month-old and he's into everything and likes to hide my hooks and get tangled in my yarn and such. So I really only crochet when he's napping, or after he's gone to bed, after like 8 o'clock at night, when I'm watching TV with my husband or something like that. So I only get a couple of hours every day to crochet, if any. So it did take me 2.5 days, the equivalent of about 5 hours. So it was really quick. It was a very easy construction. I do think I get just a little bit of a twist in the cuff. I don't know if you guys noticed that, but not like when I straighten it out, it's fine. I think it's more of the way it drapes on me than a malfunction in the way I crocheted it, if that makes any sense. But it's so soft. So there's a part of me that goes, I sit around in hoodies almost every evening because I'm a little chilly, and I have a hoodie on and I'm just all snuggled up. I could use this instead of hoodie, right? It could be almost like a house hoodie, a house coat, you know? So I could do that. I also don't think it looks hideous being worn out. I just don't really like to showcase the fact that I'm teeny tiny, like vertical. I have no height whatsoever. So anyway, let me know what you guys think. But I am encouraged that it was a fairly easy design. It was fairly quick finish. The yarn was very enjoyable to work with. If you have not worked with Red Heart Hygge before, I would highly encourage you to do so. I have my huge corner to corner granny stitch blanket made out of it that I showcased a couple of episodes ago, and now I have this. I love it. They have so many beautiful colors. Can't say more good things about this yarn. Just not certain that this wasn't just way too big. I honestly think that if I would have done like 10 fewer rows on the rectangle portion, I think I would have been a lot happier, and then sewn the area that you make a rectangle and then you fold it on either end and sew down the side, and you leave armhole openings. So that's all fine and dandy, but I think I should have left even less armholes than I did, and then I would have had a more tailored arm. So a huge learning experience, right? I was super, super excited to understand the construction of at least this sweater and understand how that works, and I could decrease it a little more. I could not decrease it depending on what I wanted. It is customizable, right? Such a cool thing. That's why we all love crochet. So anyway, still on the fence about this one. Love the color, love how squishy it is, love how soft it is, love how warm it is. Whew, I was getting toasty when I had it on for you guys. But a little disappointed with how big it ended up being, and I think that could be a product of my very tight crochet, and needing more yarn, but I really don't think so. I think it has to do with just it being an oversized garment. I went back and looked at the pictures that she was wearing, and sure enough, it hits her about the same, so I don't know what I was thinking. Anyway, but there's that. Super excited to have that done, and I feel very accomplished, ready to move on to another garment, but I may just make this one again with a few tweaks. What do you guys think? I don't know. Should I give this to my mom? Should I keep it for myself as a house coat? It's an awful expensive house coat, I will say that. Even getting this yarn on sale for $5.99 a skein through Hirschner's, usually it's $9.99 a skein at our local Joann, so it's a pricey garment to just wear around the house, right? I was pretty excited to be able to have something super nice to have to wear out too. Not that we're going anywhere during COVID. But anyway, there's number one. Our number two, I guess. So I had the rectangles, which I've already talked about and shown you, and then I finished that cocoon. And the only whip that I really have going right now, one is secret. Shh. I am working on my own design right now, and I'm working on the stitches and what exactly I want to do and what combination of stitches. So that's coming up, and I can't show anything to you yet, but stay tuned for that. I may just be doing a tutorial as well. And then the only other thing I've got to show you is my temperature blanket. Super excited. I finally made some progress, you guys. So the last time you saw this baby, I had 2 squares put together. I almost said rectangle. I was trying to say rectangle earlier, kept saying square. Now I'm talking about squares. I'm going to say rectangles because I'm a mess. So here are the 2 squares that you saw the first time. And now I have all of the first row completed, which is 17 squares. Let's twist in a little bit on me. And then I've already started with the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I believe. Squares on bottom here. And I was originally following Jennifer from Flux's tutorial for her 2019 temperature blanket. And I've gone off the rails a little bit here and there and kind of done my own thing. But that was my original basis for wanting to make this. I still have plenty of ends to weave in, as I'm sure you guys can see. I'm using mostly red heart with this. I think 1 big twist value and 1 Karen 1 pound. But for the most part, it's all red heart super saver. I wanted something cheap and vibrant and bright. I think my favorite, there's this one. Love how that one turned out. And I really enjoy, let's see. Really enjoy the turquoise and the lemon, how those ones turned out. But there are so many color combinations. Again, another learning experience. I am a little bit sad that I had to kind of tweak her temperatures to work with my climate. I live in Western Washington State, where it's fairly mild. There's not a lot of temperature change, and it's definitely not going to get you know, below 5 degrees or something like that. So I tweaked it to be 0 to 20 be this beautiful orchid shade, and then 20 to 25 be a different purple, and then go on from there. And I'm not certain we're ever going to hit the purple shade, let alone the orchid, which happens to be my favorite of all of the colors in the entire palette that I chose. So I'm a little bit bummed. I think I'm going to do things a little bit differently next year. I think I'm probably going to go on Love Crafts and pick some Stylecraft and Paintbox Aran weight yarn and just go hog wild with the palette that I specifically want, that I know that I can get on hand. I really had a hard time. A lot of the colors that I wanted on Red Heart were either discontinued or they're not sold in my local store. Definitely had to, you know, order a few off Amazon or go to Michael's, go to Joann's, go to Amazon just to get the colors I wanted. And then lo and behold, I think I very possibly am not even going to get to use all of those colors. But never fear, I will definitely use the yarn. That's not going to be a problem. It will get used up in a different project if I don't end up touching it with this. And you never know. You never know what the weather might hold. We still have the rest of this winter, and we still have, you know, the tail end of 2021 as well. So we may get in crazy, terrible temperatures. I hope not. I want to use the color, but I don't want the temperatures. Do you know what I'm saying? So anyway, I'm really, really excited. For those of you who don't know, I have never done a granny square blanket in my life. Never. This is actually the first, or the ones that you sew together. In my last video, the finished baby blankets video, I showed you the large seamless granny square. That's just one continuous granny that I did make. I have never made miniature granny squares that you put together, or granny squares of any size that you put together. So this is a first for me. I've also never done a temperature blanket, so that's also a first for me. 2021, as far as crochet, I'm trying to bust out of my comfort zone and try a bunch of things that I've never tried before. So really trying to stick with that trend. This will also be my contribution for the challenge that 3 of my favorite ladies here on YouTube are doing this year. It's kind of a crochet along that is the big challenge of doing something outside of your comfort zone. For reasons just stated, this will be my contribution. This is Ursula from OMGrannySquares. Brenda from Brenda the Newbie Crocheter, and Veronica from Steele's the Show Crochet and Chefs. All of them I will link down below. I believe their next live video is going to be February 27th. And I think it's on Ursula's channel. I might be wrong about that, so go check them out, figure it out, because they're a blast, you guys. If you have not found any of those 3 channels, please, please go check them out. You won't be sorry. They're the sweetest ladies. They're really, really caring and sweet. They're funny. They're beautiful. I love them. So this is going to be my contribution, which what's extra funny is Ursula does granny squares all the time. She's doing a temperature blanket. And the other 2 had never done granny squares, and so they're going to do a granny square blanket, and I had already picked out that I'm going to do a granny square temperature blanket. That just happened to be a complete coincidence, and I was very, very worried. Up until last night, I was over a month behind on this. I am now finished up to January 23rd. I realize I'm still quite a bit behind, but I have made up until the squares, up until January 31st. So I do have more finished here. They just need to be sewn together. This is also, obviously, since I've never sewn together granny squares, it's my first time doing a join as you go. And that has been really interesting, way easier than I thought it was going to be. I do it opposite of what Jennifer does in her tutorial. She goes up and above and into it to slip stitch together. I definitely go below. Going over the top of it was just not working for me. It was really, really difficult. So, but just going underneath was crazy simple for me. So it's just interesting what works for everybody, you know? But loving this project, really excited to see what it ends up. It's going to be just massive. It's about 6 inches longer than my hand on this side, and again, I'm not quite 5'3", so it's going to be a pretty big blanket, I think. And really, really excited to get that done. I am also going to catch up tonight or tomorrow to the end of January, and then I'm going to stop and weave in all my ends. And it's going to be a goal for myself, so please, please, you guys, hold me to it. If in the next video you see all of my ends still hanging out, please stop me and say, hey Tris, no, where's your ends? Get those weaved in, girl. Because I am still working on weaving in ends for that sunflower corner to corner grafgan that you guys saw me do in one of my very first podcasts. I need to get that to my auntie on February 13th. I'm not excited to get back to weaving those in. So I do need to try to do that as I go here. Otherwise this is going to be a monster project and I am never going to do another one again if I don't get going on this as I go, because I just know myself, y'all. It's not gonna happen. So anyway, really, really excited with how this is turning out. I do think, like I said, I'm gonna do things differently next year if I choose to do this. I'm gonna choose a different color palette. I might choose a different yarn, not because I think there's anything wrong with Red Heart Super Saver, but because I'm kind of picky and particular about my color palettes and I want exactly these colors. There's a few colors, like this frosty green right here is one of my favorite colors by Red Heart. I think it's so beautiful. This outside green right here is soft and muted and pretty. I don't like it in this blanket. I'm gonna be super honest with you. I think it looks more retro-y, and I wanted something really bright as my blanket altogether, and especially there are several that are like the lemon with that frosty green, and they're so muted, and so I'm a bit disappointed in how the color combinations are coming out, but that's because of what I chose. So anyway, I'm just learning so much by that. Now I know, you know, I personally like things more vivid, and it is going to be more vivid and vibrant once I add in the other colors. When we get into summer, you're going to see fuchsias and oranges and all different colors that are going to come into play there. Even some pink. I know, Veronica, I know. But we're gonna see a lot more color come into this palette, and I do think at the end of it I'm gonna love it because it's gonna be vibrant and bright and just really, really fun and reflective of this year, you know? Kind of a fun way to almost have a journal of the year, but in a snuggly form, because I'm all about comfy cozy, right? So what are you guys working on? Please let me know down in the comments. Believe it or not, this is all I have. Several rectangles for charity, these squares. This was a lot for me to learn how to do the square, how to join it together, to put everything together as far as the colors go, and do the math and say, okay, between this, you know, this temperature and this temperature is this corresponding color and things like that. It was kind of a big project to get started on. Now that I'm started, I think I'm just gonna whip right through it. The goal is gonna be that I'm caught up by the end of the week. By Friday evening, I want to be completely caught up to where I can just do like 1 or 2 squares at a time and just keep up for the rest of the year. Hold me to that, okay? But what are you guys working on? Between this and the cocoon and those rectangles, that's all I've done in the last week. Actually pretty impressed with that progress for me. I am not the quickest crocheter. I know so many podcasters out there whip out a blanket or 2, plus a couple garments, a hat and a scarf, and they're like, I had a slow crochet week. That's not me. So I'm super sorry. Hopefully this wasn't boring for everybody, but I'm having a great time learning on my journey. I'm having a blast, and I love that I get to share it with you guys. I watch so many different podcasters that I just absolutely adore and get so much inspiration from. I get so much inspiration from you all in the comments down below, talking about what you're doing and what patterns you love, and I just love talking to you guys. We're also at 701 subscribers at the filming of this video, and I cannot believe it. I'm so humbled and excited. Thank you all so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to spend with me and my crochet projects. I love you all so much. I hope you continue watching. I hope you find something useful, or that you learned something, or you just have a good time with me here. So thank you so much. Hope you're having a great one, whether it's the evening, afternoon, morning, week, or weekend. Whenever you are watching this, have a great one, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye, you guys.